So Neon Steeple was my first solo endeavor, and I could not have been happier how it turned out. And it was like, it's my first time to make music by myself without my bandmates that I had been with for 15 years or something. So it's like, now it's going to be all my fault. Like, what shall I say? And I wanted to be incredibly authentic and open, like lyrically as well as musically. And so like music wise, it's like, what could I say that's like to the depth of me? And I was like, the country, bluegrass, southern gospel slant has been in my life since I got on the planet. At the same time, I think I grew of age in the 80s, and so I spent too much time in front of the television playing Atari and Nintendo games, so that 8-bit, beeps and blips is just part of my soul too. So it was like, kind of like Appalachian mountain music meets EDM music, like the Appalachians meet Ibiza, like the banjo meets the 808 kick drum, but it's all electronic driven. Electronic dance music meets banjo music. And here, this new record, American Prodigal, kind of it shifts a little more south. When I landed in Atlanta, Georgia, where I wound up staying was on a street called Carroll Street, and it was a part of I lived in this old cotton mill, and the guy who started and built the cotton mill, he just drove up into the Appalachians and loaded up his trucks and brought down workers to work in the cotton mill, and he built this little village called Cabbagetown. There's shotgun houses where all the workers would live, but they're all Appalachian guys. So they brought their music there to this street that I didn't know about this before I got there. So I'm making this record, Neon Steeple, and find out the thing I'm trying to get the roots of actually started right here. This is where it came from. Country music came from the street. I'm Fiddler John, and the country music radio that wound up moving to Nashville started on the street I'm at. Right across the train tracks that the cotton mill sits on is the old 4th Ward, where Ebenezer Baptist Church sits, where the civil rights movement started. And you've got this sliver of a divide between, the Appalachian Mountains meets folks that have been living in very difficult conditions. And I grew up in Texarkana, Texas. It was a town divided. Half of it was in Arkansas, half of it was in Texas. And I don't know. I got to be friends with a lot of people. All of our conversations turned my heart in a way. This record is the same. It's a tributary of the same stream. The banjo is actually a African American instrument. The fiddle is actually an African American instrument, and this thing kind of weds the two things together. So the vocabulary and the enunciation of my faith is actually a little more black gospel on this side of things, but and the electronic side of things is more like sample based, but all the rest of it still, it's like I'm blending all this stuff together, and it's like, dude, I cannot wait for people to hear it. It is an American Prodigal. The story of the prodigal son, everybody's like, oh, it's the guy that like rebelled and went away and then came back, and that's like the summary of the story. The word prodigal actually means the one that's lavished upon. Like, he had all the father's inheritance, and that's what was wasted. And so being born in Texarkana, Texas, in America, the United States of America, moving to Atlanta, Georgia, having, like, that's already a privilege that is in the, I'm in the 1% already, just because I landed here and I didn't make any choice about it. I already have stuff in my hands that I have to be responsible for. And to waste that, to neglect the inheritance that I've been given, this is a record is like a subversive call to look at what's in your hands and do something with it and change the planet. That's about it.